Welcome, guys, to the Tops. That is a show where we bring you our top 5 list of the topic at hand. And on today's episode, we are talking about the top 5 games that came out and we've beaten in 2019. My name is Craig Perales, and joining me is the Mandrew Lorian himself, Mandrew Montemayor. Hey, on time, on style, as always. So, guys, like we said, this is games that came out in 2019. We personally beat in 2019. And again, this is games that we personally interacted with. So, this isn't every game that came out in 2019. The big one that I just want to make sure everyone's clearly aware of is Death Stranding. Andrew and I both didn't get a chance to play it. I know a lot of people out there love that game. So, don't start hating on us already if you don't hear it, because I'm telling you right now, the game is not on there.
Yeah, and I can tell you right now, Craig's got Switch games. I didn't get my Switch till like the end of last month, and so I haven't even had time to play anything on it yet. Otherwise...
Yeah, you gotta keep in mind, small channel, we play games when we can, so these are the games that we actually got to knock out before 2020 starts. Now, Andrew, would you like to go first or second?
I'll go first,
okay.
And then you can get a good closer.
Start us off with that sweet top 5 spot.
My top 5... And take it for what you will. I will say Final Fantasy IX. Now, for me, that game obviously came out years ago. It just came out on Xbox this year. That is like the only Final Fantasy I hadn't beaten. I'd beaten 7, I'd beaten 8. I'd never fully gone through 9. I remember renting it from Blockbuster and making it, I think, through like the second disc. And then it was all scratched up to where I couldn't get any further. And I've never had the opportunity to go back and play it. So the fact that it finally released on Xbox, that was something that I was dying for. And I'm not gonna lie, I did go through it and play it with like little cheats and stuff on at the same time and everything like that.
We call them game enhancers at this point.
Yeah, but I absolutely loved it. I thought it was a great game. It's one of my favorite worlds. I actually really enjoyed the high fantasy Final Fantasy because that's really the only one that's kind of almost like that in a way. Because 7 and 8 are a lot different. 10's different. 12 is, I would say maybe 12 is kind of close-ish, but maybe not really. I still feel like it's a little bit more out there. But after playing this game, and not just for easiness, because I went through and actually redid 7, 8, and 9 this year because they all came out on Xbox, it actually has me rethinking the order of which ones I would do. I think like 7 has the best characters.
What was it originally?
It'd be 7, 8, 9.
And then what's it now?
I think right now I would probably go 9, 8, 7.
Oh, nice. Well, that's a huge switch up.
So, yeah, having it, redoing it, I think maybe the only thing I really loved about 7, because the world is kind of bland, I feel like. I think that 8's is a little kind of blandish too, but just maybe not as bad. I have 7's a lot more memorized, and I think 7 has the better overall cast out of all of them because it has possibly the best villain in Sephiroth, but also liked Edea for the most of it. And then, I mean, both stories are a little bit wonk, but I felt like 9, going back and doing it again, was kind of the strongest. And I actually really, really enjoyed it a lot. That and always like a good like romance in the game too. Yeah, and so 7 is the more ambiguous between who does Cloud like love with Aerith or Tifa, versus 8 has hard Rinoa and then hard Dagger or whatever you want to call her.
I like that.
So going back and playing those really made me like rethink on that, and I actually really, really enjoyed it a lot more than I think I did as a kid, because I remember whenever I think about this game or whenever it came up in conversation, I always didn't look back on it fondly, and now after having replayed it, I actually thought it was like really great.
Nice. That's always a good thing when you can play a game that, because again, that game was released back in the day, but it came out 2019, and it's cool that it was able to kind of shift gears for you and move up in the list. I mean, it's a pretty big jump though. Jump up 2 spots, the other one falls down 2 spots. 8 stays right in that juicy center.
Yeah, and I think maybe the thing is too, and maybe what's unfair is 7 has the 7's are obviously the biggest, but 7 also has the most media about it. It's got the standalone movie, then it's got the Dirge of Cerberus tie-in game, it's got Crisis Core is another game, plus, of course, the standard Final Fantasy 7. Now with the remake coming out, that's the game that has the most attention, so maybe that's why I felt like I had the most love for it for a long time, is because that's the one that's always been like shoved down my throat the most, whereas the others just kind of came and went, but they stood their ground in time as like, hey, these are great, great games, but we're going to take this one and we're going to shove this one,
to another tier. So, nice. I like the FF9 is on there. Going into my number 5, guys, it is Greedfall. Now, this is a game that I'm not sure most people heard of.
I did not play it.
I think its world premiere was at E3, if I'm not mistaken. But it's a really good action RPG. It's set in like this 17th century fantasy kind of world. Essentially, you're this character that's being sent to this new settled land that you guys are looking for the cure to what's called the Malachor. I believe it's like this plague that's just wiping people out. So when you get to this point, there's like different tribal people that live there. There's different factions that are like religious based, that are an army based. So you get to pick up a cast of characters. I believe it's one from each different group, and you get to form your own little team. The part I liked about it is the RPG elements really stand out. It's got a really good leveling up system where you can add your points. The points are kind of based into these 3 different categories where you don't get a bunch of them every time you level up. Some of the points you only get every like third level, every 5th level. So you got to be real careful with how you do it. It's also really good in terms of like the combat. You can really focus if you want to be a hardcore fighter, a hardcore magic user. They do like what's like a tactician who's got like mines he can drop, bombs he can throw, or you can kind of mix it between all of them. So I really like the game. I thought the dialogue in it was really well. The guy that you play, Des Sorday, if I'm remembering his name right, he kind of talked like Batman. Every time he was looking at like a situation, the way he would just analyze it and interpret it.
Oh, I do remember seeing that scene you tell me, and I was like, oh, that is kind of cool.
I
like
loved
that.
it. I'm like, dude, why? I love the way this guy's just breaking it down. The characters that you got to have were really cool to do. One of my main gripes about it, and especially when Andrew, because you saw me play, you were over here and you saw me playing it, right?
Right.
The graphics look for a 2019 game look a little dated.
Yeah,
so
it didn't look that great.
The game didn't
graphically.
Look fantastic. The graphics look a little dated, and some of the monsters are pretty generic. Once you've seen about 2 or 3 of them outside of like a boss fight, all the monsters are kind of similar, all the enemies you run into, but that's not what's good about it. It was really diving into the stealth. Like if you wanted to be stealth, you could. If you wanted to be action oriented, you can. A lot of the dialogue, kind of like another game we'll talk about in a minute, actually helped the gameplay. So every scenario that you could get into, there was about 3 different ways you could approach it. So I really love when a good RPG can do that. So I don't know, if you haven't checked it out, it's like I said, it's not, I don't think most people have heard of it, but at this point you can get this game, and I think it's only around $40, so it's not even a full $60 game. So I would say check out Greedfall.
Yeah, I mean, why not? Oh, look, that
one. Let one
is
me. That's Andrew. Is that your first one or your second one? I'm putting 2 on that one.
That's my first one. Oh, followed by a second one.
Guy.
Damn it.
I'll jump into mine, guys. So my number 4 is actually Outer Worlds. Outer Worlds is an action RPG. It's probably a lot higher on a lot of other people's list. But to me, it's you play Greedfall and you do the fantasy version of it. Outer Worlds was like the sci-fi version of it. So I'm not going to dive too much into it because I believe it's on Andrew's list. So I'm going to let him dive a little more. So that's my 5. That's my 4. Andrew's hit his 5. Andrew, what's your 4?
My 4 is going to be Mortal Kombat 11. Now, NetherRealm Studios, I think, has been absolutely killing it with their fighting games, not only with Mortal Kombat, but with Injustice as well. And I'm not like a big fighting game, person. Like, I just mainly do the story, and I'll kind of fuck around with some of the things to it. So I'm by no means going to join fucking Evo or anything like that. So I play these strictly for the story. And I personally actually thought the story from Mortal Kombat X, the last iteration that came out, I liked it, and I liked some of the things that they did, but I felt like it was weak. It was kind of underwhelming. Whereas this, I felt totally satisfied with what they did. It was funny. It was the perfect length. I loved what they did with the time mechanics. So you bring back some fan favorites, some different people to explain situations that normally wouldn't be of how some people are there. They even, a spoiler alert, of course, bring back even people like Shao Kahn. And then it's this overarching enemy. I forget her name, but she controls like the sands of time. And so she's trying to create like this perfect way, but Raiden keeps messing it up. So it explains how there's some of the alternate timelines and how things come to be. And I think one of my favorite segments, and something I had been dying to talk to Craig about too, would be you get to this point where Liu Kang is disagreeing with Raiden because Raiden's kind of being vengeful and spiteful, that they start fighting again. And so he starts having flashbacks to all these different times that they fight. Yeah, and it's pretty much them through all the different games with their alternate costumes, like Mortal Kombat 3, 4, or Armageddon. And that was like one of the best scenes. And I felt like it had a great ending. And that is my big worry, is the ending was so good that I was really happy with it in the direction they went with the story, that I don't know where they would go forward next, seeing as time is now being rewritten the way that, Liu Kang's now this god of time to where I don't know how he could allow anything to come through that would be bad. So either way, I absolutely loved it. If you are a Mortal Kombat fan, and you could be different, I could see how somebody could hate this. I personally actually loved the story. I thought it was great.
Yeah, that was a game that we were actually playing. I think, did we beat it? We beat it like in the same week together, right?
Yeah, I beat it first, and I think you were like a few days later.
Yeah, that was a game I remember playing it. I remember loving it. It was it had a really good. I don't want to call it like a narrative story, but what was like the cave thing that you could go around and like
the crypt?
Yeah, the crypt. I like the crypt. I like that a lot. And yeah, the storyline was refreshing. I don't play a lot of Mortal Kombat games. That's Andrew's kind of wheelhouse. So when I got to actually play it, and I was like, oh, I haven't played one in a while. This one felt pretty badass.
Yeah. How did you personally, as someone who hasn't been in it, like the dynamic between like the old Johnny and the young Johnny? Seeing, like,
man, that was the best part, and especially knowing that like Shao Kahn like was dead and now he's coming back, and then you get to see the two cages.
Brick shit houses ever. Yeah.
I thought it was really cool. So I almost was looking at it, I'm like, this would be the movie I want to watch, like a cool time reverse one. And yeah, when Liu Kang does all his shit, when Raiden goes through all his shit, I was like, yeah, really good storyline, really engaging. The only downer on games like that, outside of the going online and playing it, is their campaigns are
it's
usually
one and
pretty
done.
short. So but yeah, I had a blast from start to finish with that. So since we did 5, 5, 4, 4, let's go back in order and go to your 3, and then we'll move over to mine.
Since I messed up. So my 3, actually, as he said, is going to be Outer Worlds.
Yeah, and then we'll talk a little more openly with Outer Worlds, since that was my number 4 game.
Yeah, which I absolutely loved it. I actually went through and 100% in it on Xbox, so all the achievements, did fully absolutely everything. I loved all the dialogue, especially my biggest thing, too, is coming off of Fallout 4 and how weak that game was for me. I really didn't like it that much. I felt like it was kind of... I don't know if they were trying too hard, but I felt like just the heart wasn't there. I felt like this game was all heart. I know they took out a lot of things like this big, massive open world, but I liked how bite-sized each planet felt, that it was just enough for me to explore without feeling overwhelmed. The dialogue was great. There's lots of options. Actually, even going back, I was talking to someone at work. He's like, yeah, I went through and I gave the power to these people, and now, or he gave the power to the people that deserted the very first city that you go to. And I was like, oh, did you talk to her after that? And he's like, no, why? And I was like, oh, well, you can actually make her take control of the other place if you talk to her just right. Or if you go back and talk to her, you find out that she's actually powering all her stuff with dead people. He's like, what? He's like, now I hate my decision. I think I'm going to have to go back and do it again. So there's just so much versatility into this. I would say the weakest thing about this thing is maybe... And it's a positive too. This is the first Elder Scrolls or Fallout style game that I felt like I didn't have to fight anyone if I didn't want to. You could literally talk your way through every situation and not have to fight anybody, of course, besides like wild things or whatever. But you're not forced ever into a situation where, because two factions are fighting, now you have to kill somebody. And that's kind of what it felt. It felt like I was talking my way out of everything, which I loved it, but I could see that as a negative too, because it kind of also made me, I'm like, why am I didn't put my points into anything else besides just my speech and my stealth, and I was just sneaking past everything. And then once you get that hammer that you were trying to hit that dude's head in, you're just a brick shit house. Like, I'm just smashing everything in my way.
Yeah, so the game, like I was gonna say, like it just reminded me kind of Greedfall in terms of like the dialogue. Like Dan's saying, the dialogue matters. You can completely play this game one way or another.
Greedfall, but looks a lot better.
Way better, and it's got that nice sci-fi spin on it in terms of the outer space, the blasters and all that stuff. It is one of those games where I like every member of my crew. It's almost like I almost felt like you're shooting somebody. What was the robot's name?
Sam?
Yeah, I liked Sam the robot the best.
I love Parvati.
He was usually on my team, and it was one of those games where I'm like, dude, okay, who do I take out? I like that you can get the armor, customize everyone's armor. I liked that there were so many side missions. Like Andrew was saying, the map wasn't so open world, but every one of those little worlds felt like a really nice space to go explore. The point system was really good. There was so much you could invest in, so it really just kind of depended on your style of gameplay. You can just verbally get past everything and verbally sneak past everything, if that's how you want to play it. I know a lot of people like a Denny's have run up and beat him down, or like a Dante. He doesn't want to talk his way through anything. He wants to smash through everything. Which
and you can do that, yeah.
And one of the other things was the when you beat the game, and this was kind of reminding me like Greedfall again, which is why they're so close. Is sometimes I like a game that doesn't have a big cutscene. It was kind of just this kind of curtain fall and just like here's what happened if you pick this. Here's what happened if you pick this. So it definitely lends itself to a replay value if you do want to see what happens with some other choices. Like, this is one of those games where you know your choices mattered. Every guy you left hanging, or every mission you finished actually led to something.
Right. And that's what I liked a lot about too, is it felt like playing off of that, the fact that these decisions were there, the heart was there in this game. Because normally that's what can make or break something for me, especially when it's a little bit smaller in scale, or even like Fallout. I usually love talking to everybody. Fallout 4, I didn't talk to anybody because I was like, this fucking is just weak as fuck. I don't want to go save another fucking dumb camp. But in this one, I found myself talking to everybody. Yeah. I want to do all the side missions. I want to do all the little different things that I could.
Voice very well. All the dialogue in there, I mean, is all well spoken.
Hilarious.
Yeah, hilarious. The ship is one of the star characters.
Oh, I love her.
And she's all just dialogue.
Ada?
Yeah.
Dude,
so,
she's amazing.
So. Definitely a game to check out. Anything else you want to put on that?
No, I'll put that. That was a strong 3. Love that game.
So that was his number 3. My number 3 was Control. Now, the reason I think I like this game a little higher than Outer Worlds, because I had a feeling Outer Worlds was going to be great. Control was a game we completely slept on. And it wasn't until like I started hearing buzz of like it being nominated in every game award. I was like, all right, well, let me check it out. Let me see what it's about. And it's fantastic. Essentially, you're this chick, Jessie Faden. She's the new director of the Federal Bureau of Control. It's like the branch of the government that kind of studies and contains things that violate reality. And her kind of story is she's trying to figure out what happened to her brother. So in this game, you go along, you kind of gain these powers when you're inside of this kind of world. And to me, the reason why this beat out a game like Jedi Fallen Order is the gameplay in this one was so much more, what's the right word? Like, just powerful. Like, you were so badass. Like, every ability you get in this game was fantastic. The control was, pun intended, the control in the game was fantastic. The storyline, that's the bigger head trip. I almost want to play it twice just to make sure I got everything. It's really good. The one thing I would say the biggest con I had of it is it's glitchy. But I'm sure by the time anyone that's watching this that plays it afterwards, I'm sure it's really patched up. It does have timed events to where something will go off in this place and you'll have to get to it in time to, to beat it out. It's got side missions from other characters you can go do. But if anyone's playing it, or if anyone's going to play it or you have played it, there's this scene where you get these headphones and you have to go through this maze. It is so like hard, heavy metal, badass that scene really stands out to me. So if you know what I'm talking about, comment on it.
Actually, I haven't heard you talk about this game because you've been going on about it. Mm-hmm. I'm really hoping it comes to Game Pass or just comes down in price again because I actually want to pick it up and try it.
Yeah, I would recommend everyone check it out. It's not too long of a game. I mean, you can beat it fairly quickly. It does have some difficulties, but it's when you start doing the action, it's so well done. A lot of people, like when we were listening to Colin, they were saying how they didn't like how it would go from being fast action oriented to like these lull moments of like you have to get from A to B, which I kind of like. It gave me some exploration. So teach their own, but there is that in there. I would say definitely check it out.
Nice. My number 2, which I also 100% my top 3.
Woo!
Just throwing it out there, is actually going to be Sekiro Game of the Year.
2019.
Yeah, 2019 Game of the Year. Absolutely amazing sounding game. Especially if you're a fan of Dark Souls, Bloodborne. I've actually seen a lot of people who weren't into either of those games be able to pick this up and actually like it a lot more. It completely challenges you in every way. I've never fought a harder fucking boss in my life. I never felt so like accomplished after beating something. I've never been so mad doing something. Absolutely great story. Even better voice acting, like down to a T. Like every little part of it's just great. This game, I didn't even play it in English. I actually played it in Japanese with the subtitles on because I felt like it felt like that authentic. And I absolutely loved the sword fighting mechanic about it because when you're fighting, especially once you get these battles down, so like on my like third go through, I'm fighting this boss to where I have his moveset kind of somewhat memorized to where I'm getting in there and instead of just me waiting back trying to see what he's going to do, it is like a samurai fight. Like we're both just clashing swords. I know when to dodge, strike, and then I know when I'm supposed to like parry back because I know what he's going to do. That it's like you could easily kill a boss within like 30 seconds, but that's how it would feel like. You know, it's something like watching maybe like Last Samurai or something like that where they're just like going at it, or like any of those, you know, movies or something like that. That it was man, just talking about it is
gets you jonesing.
Yeah, it's even a game that I still would like to go back and do and just play it again, and I've already beaten it if it wasn't so damn hard for that ending. Like that really truly got me. And Miyazaki has been knocked out of the park with Dark Souls, Bloodborne, now Sekiro, and now he's actually doing Elden Ring. And that's another reason why this is on my list, is because I actually was not excited for it, because I was really wanting another Dark Souls, or I was picturing another Bloodborne. He came through, he made this. It actually did not resonate with me at first. I actually started off hating this game. I didn't think it was going to be good. It was just so different. There's no shields, there's no blocking. You're just going through this feudal Japan, which I do love, with all these like monsters and these demons and stuff like that roaming. But it just did not click with me. And then one day it was like I just got it. That I am now more excited for his next game, Elden Ring, which he's doing with Railroad Martin.
Yeah, oh yeah, George R. R. Martin. Yeah.
And that one is supposed to be a lot different than what Dark Souls or Bloodborne or even what this is. That I'm hyped for it, because this just completely got me.
Nice. See what else he can do. So yeah, and it did win Game of the Year. So I mean,
I do want to put that in there, that people say games should have an easy mode. The fact that a game that is hard as fuck won the Game of the Year,
yeah, it's
puts that argument to rest, that game does not need an accessible mode. You just need to get good or get out.
Get busy living or get busy dying. So excellent. My number 2, guys, is Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening on the Switch. Now this game obviously just got remade. It's from the original 1993 Game Boy version. Now,
I wonder who recommended that to
I was going to say, the guy that got me to start playing it was Andrew, and this was back when this obviously wasn't out yet, and I remember playing it I had it downloaded to my phone.
Yeah.
And I remember playing it, I was cruising along, and I remember liking it. I think I was just playing the black and white version of it, and oh, no, it was the color one. Yeah. On the DX, it's...
That's DX, is the colored one. Because I told him, I'm like, you're missing out on the Zelda game. It's easy bite-size compared to the others that... Play it on your phone, man, and just knock it out and see how you
dig it. I'd be sitting at work doing it, and it sucks because my phone got, for whatever reason, I had to get hard reset. So I lost everything I was playing, and I didn't want to start it up again. So when this finally came out, I'm like, okay, cool. Now I have a reason to do it. This game is so just... One, nice to look at, but two, all the upgrades and stuff that they've done with it, because it's all the DX stuff, and I like how now the sword and shield are permanently equipped, and you can add on the items now, so it just makes the flow of it so much better than constantly
those
switching
quality
back
of
and
life
forth.
Changes, yeah.
Yeah, the color and graphics were fantastic. The dungeons and the boss encounters were like the funnest part. Every boss fight, I was just like, okay, cool, because they're all a little bit different. The ending was fantastic. The music was beautiful to listen to the whole time. And it was, even though I didn't finish the old one back in the day, seeing the comparison of how they were able to, translate it was just really cool to watch. So that's why it's on my number 2. Music looked good. Out of all the games I've added on this one, I can't think of anything bad to say about the game. There is no con for this. I can't go, because it didn't do this. Like, everything on it's great.
I'm really excited to actually start it because I just got it for my birthday from my mom. And actually what I liked and what I seen the other day, because I didn't know was in there, because in the beginning, in the original, it does start off with different graphics than how you play with Link on the ship. But I didn't know they made like a full like anime intro that's absolutely fucking beautiful.
Intro and when you beat the game and you get to watch the credits, I was like, damn, like give me a show that looks like that. I'll take that too.
And that's where I was going to lead to. I was like, fuck, I really, really want this now. But on maybe a more somber note then, spoilers of course, how did it make you feel beating the game? Like what I told you before, is like, I was like, I don't want to spoil it for you, but once you get towards the end and you realize like all this shit is going to disappear, that everything's going to be done once you beat it.
Even like the bosses at times are going like stop, because if you do this, like we're all gone, including you. So like you need to like I'll never let you do it. So you're almost at that point going, well, man, it's kind of sucks because you're gonna erase out of existence everybody that you've been helping out essentially to get from start to finish. So it was not tough. I wasn't gonna cry about it or nothing, but I was like, damn, there's some like choice behind this, because once it's done and you watch that ending, you're like, damn, that was that was an
really
adventure.
Makes you think about it. Yeah, that's one of those games that's always sat with me, and that's why it's my favorite game of all time.
It was really fun to play, and I liked that I was able to take care of it, and it hits the number 2 spot.
I'm glad you finally got to play it, man.
Yeah.
My number 1 and my next game that I hope you'll jump into at some point, as everyone knows, and I'm sure you could have guessed by now, is going to be Resident Evil 2 Remake. That game was just absolutely amazing for me. I absolutely loved every experience to it. Just the way they even redid the city at the beginning, from it just feeling not as just so fleshed out to where I feel like there's all kinds of zombies that jump you at the beginning. So even before you get to the police station, it's still a little bit kind of linear like the old one was. You don't cut through like a shop or anything like that like you used to, but it serves a purpose later on. But I still felt like, even though I was kind of on this linear way, like it felt like it made sense. It wasn't until I started speedrunning that I'm like, oh, okay, this is linear. I still am like looking around, I'm like, oh fuck, I don't know which way to go, or it feels like a city, like, oh, I have to get out of this section. Alley's the only way. I got to get down the alley. And then when you get into the police station, I don't know if it was you I was watching something with, because I was watching someone else do a review or a retrospective on it. And I forget the name of his channel. It's Avalanche Reviews. Does a great retrospective on the Resident Evil series as a whole. So go and check that out. But he pointed out something that I didn't even think about is... besides the graphics, one of the biggest changes that they made, and how good, and what made me think like, oh shit, that's the best way to put this game, is the changes that they made to this game are almost perfect, that they'll have you question your thoughts on the original. So like his big example that he put was, in the beginning, when you go into the police station in the lobby, in the original, there's you do whatever, you're going around, you get to the second floor, you kick down a ladder in the middle of it, and that's how you go up and down the second floor. In this one, there is no ladder. It's just two staircases, and then, of course, the doors are locked until you get the keys. But he was saying the whole time that he was playing that I could have swore the staircase was in the original. And I even found myself thinking that, too. That it wasn't until he pointed out, I'm like, oh, shit, you're right. That staircase was not in the original. Like, that's how good the changes are that they made in this game. Even going back and seeing what they've done with Mr. X, how they changed the way he plays, he's in this game a lot more than the original, too. And
he steals the show from what I
hear. He serves a purpose to where it's now this menacing thing that's stalking you, and I'm sure at some points, it's frustrating and it's harder, but that's what it's meant to be, is because he's just this force that even when you run into a room that you think you're safe in, he actually might even have the potential to show up in there. That this game is the new pinnacle for remakes, I think, because before it was always Resident Evil Remake, because that's almost a one-to-one in the idea that the graphics are better, the cameras are still, fixed camera angles. This completely does away with that fixed camera. This is a modernized remake that I thought is absolutely gorgeous, and I'm excited for the third one.
I was going to say, yeah, and because of it, we're getting the number 3, and probably more. Like, the success of this is now going to spawn the Capcom remake phase.
Right. So. And right now, Capcom is on that high churning. Everything they're putting out is seemingly gold right now. They're back in the best way possible.
Yeah, because his number 1's Capcom. My number 1 game was actually a Capcom game as well.
I was surprised that's your number 1 game. That's really cool.
I had to think about it, and I had the most fun playing it. It was Devil May Cry 5. It was a great game. It was so simply good in its action orientedness that I know me, Cian were playing it. We kept talking about it. And I've never been the biggest Devil May Cry fan. But
me neither. It's on my list, though.
Yeah, when DMC came out, I played it, got me back into it. I think I beat 4. Number 5 takes place. You're following Dante, Nero, and V, and they're trying to stop this Demon King, Urizen, from destroying the world. But, like, the storyline is so good in terms of, like, it's hard to make one good character in a game, but they nailed it with all 3 characters. Like, I liked every one of them, and I think anyone that plays this game, like, I bet your favorite guy will be different from mine, which is different from Cien's. But you get to follow Dante, who he gets like this swords and gun style, which you can kind of switch back and forth to. V, who's the new character that they're introducing, he gets to use like these. He's kind of getting crippled, and he has his 2 familiars fighting for him. And then you get Nero, who's kind of the star of the show, and he has this sword and he has this robotic arm. So, and they're all badass. So you get to play this game, and like you feel kind of accomplished with it, because the more you play with it, you're like, okay, good, I'm getting really good with Dante. And then it switches up to V, and I'm like, okay, now I got to switch over to V. Okay, now I got to switch over to Nero. So you get to learn all these different combat styles. The side characters that they introduced were really good. I love any game that introduces but kind of plays on the demonic, heaven and hell, angels and demons, bloodline matters, family matters. So I like games like that. So the fact that this game was able to deliver 3 new characters that I liked, keep something that they're good at, the action hack and slash, this is like a 10 in terms of their gameplay, with great characters, and the soundtrack of this thing is so badass. I know you're a big music, soundtrack kind of guy. I never really am. I can listen to a score and I'm fine if I never hear it again, but this one caught my attention, and I like it because normally when I play a game, I like to do it on the hardest difficulty, but I'm like humbled when I play a Devil May Cry game because they're so tough, and I got to play Sekiro now because I'm curious of where that is, where there's just so many different insanities of going through this game. I like it because it's got these boss fights that are just epic. It's got I like a game that the more you play it, it'll introduce new enemies to show you that, everything you're learning, you need to keep remembering. You need to keep remembering how to do this dodge, how to do this attack, how to do this slide. So there's everything in it is just, great. If you want to check it out, I believe this one's on the Game Pass as well. So I would say check it out. Devil May Cry for me was the best in terms of gameplay. I really liked the storyline, and it had a fantastic soundtrack. And if you can check all those boxes with replayability in terms of like going back to play a chapter, you can play the same chapter but with two different characters. So now you got to see which way he went, which way he went, and they're classic, A, B ranking, S ranking, SS ranking, SSS ranking. So if you are the hardcore gamer, there's more to it, and there's a lot of good DLC on it too. So for me, that is why Devil May Cry 5 was number 1. But what award did it actually take?
I think it was best action game.
It was best action game. So there you have it. So Andrew, do you want to recap real quick what your 5-1 was?
Yeah, my 5 is Final Fantasy 9. 4 was Mortal Kombat 11. 3 was Outer Worlds. 2 was Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice. And then 1 was Resident Evil 2 Remake.
Nice. And my 5 was Greedfall. 4 was Outer Worlds. 3 was Control. 2 was Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. And number 1 was Devil May Cry 5. But guys, more importantly, what was your top 5 games of 2019?
Yeah, it's been a long, great year.
There's so many other games out there that we just did not get to play. Again, this list is just limited to what we're able to actually beat, because it's not what we played and didn't finish. It's games we completely finished, which is why I know you wanted to give an honorable mention to...
Oh, yeah, like Division 2. I'm actually coming back and playing that game now, which I dropped at, I think, at like the start of the year. And I'm absolutely loving it now. And I can't remember why I put it down. I don't know if just better things came out, or maybe I had no one to play with it then. But once it came out on this recent sale, I'm wholeheartedly back into it.
Yeah. So, guys, let us know what your top 5 list is. So, you got one from me. You got one from him. So, let us know what yours is, guys. And we will see you in 2020. So, until next time, guys, my name is Craig Perales. That is Mandrew Montemayor. Cheers.